morning, Rian Kutsia, Fortis Proactive Defense Solutions. I'm back talking to Duan Cilliers, the head programmer and the inventor of the BattleFit training program. Duan, welcome.
Nice to be back, Rian. Thanks for having me.
Always great to chat to you. We're busy with episode 3 today of our series called Survive and Thrive. Excuse me, it's all about functional fitness for life. And the first thing we want to talk about today is how to stay motivated. Now, this is a very, very, very important point because this is something that I think every single person who's ever done any kind of training, whether you just go for a walk around the block, has battled with. Suddenly it rains and you're like, not today. Suddenly it's cold, not today. Suddenly I rather want to sleep, I'm tired, not today. So motivation is an ongoing mental battle. Duan, how would you address this?
So there's a few ways of looking at it, Rian. The one is my way, which everyone apparently says you're out of your mind. so we can quickly go over that one. But I found a long time ago that looking for motivation always fails. Meaning if you look to others, if I put it in better words, motivation comes from within. But what I realized a long time ago, and that's why I say people say I'm crazy, motivation is 10%, discipline is 90%. So when I get up in the morning at 5 and I put on my shoes, do I want to run in that rain or cold weather? No, I don't. But discipline and a good habit forming routine forces me to then run. And halfway through the run, I get motivated because then I'm doing it. And I was like, I almost didn't do it. Yeah, now it feels great. So if you're looking for motivation from a pure point of like a motivational video or the hoorah feeling, you will almost always fail. But good discipline forms good habits, which then leads to giving you that feeling of motivation. So I think what happened with products and ads and people trying to sell you stuff, they used the motivational video and we got it switched around. So if you don't feel motivated, you take off because I didn't feel like it. No one that you see that trains consistently, let's say for 6 months, felt good every day. That doesn't happen. You have your off days. We all have them. It's the discipline and the good habit forming that then even on those days you train. After that training session, you feel motivated and we all chase that feeling. Where I think the average Joe, if he doesn't have that feeling, the chase stops instead of chasing that feeling and getting it towards the end. So that's why I say people are crazy because I believe the less my body wants to train, the more I train. So if I look at something like a 20-kilometer run and I go, never, that's crazy, I will do that run to show my body, you know, your mind. I do what I want to do, even if you don't want to. That's why I say people say I'm a bit loony, but it paid off well for me. I'm not saying that is the way, that's the way I see it. Because if you allow your mind to win those small battles, it's a matter of time before you lose the big ones. So my body, I think, tries to play tricks on me, and it's like, hey, don't you want to go around? Because then hopefully I don't. So it's a whole game I play in my own head with 7,000 voices that runs around in here. But anyway, so I thought it will be very interesting because I can sit here and speech to you guys all day. But I thought it would be interesting to see what something like Grok would say and something that the average guy would type in and then get a note of stuff. So I thought, let me get the list and then I'll run through the list, adding my stuff to it to almost make what you've been hearing for the last 6 months trying to get motivated, to almost put it into perspective from someone that does it a bit differently. And I think that'll be very interesting. Yeah, so the first step was just set clear, realistic goals. So the thing I like about that, but also I don't like about that. So that's why I say, let me break it down. The nice thing about a goal is, obviously, if you have a 5-kilometer race coming up, or in our case, I'm going to bring it a lot back. I'm telling the listeners now to the BattleFit concept, because our BattleFit Games is the 30th of November. So it's basically in a month and a little bit. And also our app is launching soon. I'm going to tie it all in, but so I'm going to keep coming back to BattleFit today. So if you have a clear, realistic goal, it might be a 5-kilometer run. The nice thing about the BattleFit, as we've said, it meets you where you are. So for one guy, it will be 1-kilometer race. For one guy, it will be 100-kilometer race. Doesn't matter. Set a clear goal. whether it's the Battlefield Games coming up, you have a goal. So then it makes training easier because of the up and coming event. The thing I don't like about that is if that event is gone, there goes all motivation, because now the race is finished. So what now? So people just keep entering races, but it's not sustainable. So you have to find realistic targets and goals, in my opinion, outside of events. So I use with my athletes events as checkpoints. So if you, for instance, you use that 5 kilometer as a checkpoint to get to a 50 kilometer race or whatever. It doesn't, be careful that the up and coming event becomes the be all end all, because after that, all motivation dwindles. You can see it a lot with bodybuilders. I did bodybuilding myself, but the day you come off stage, you eat that burger, you take a week off, it's extremely hard to find the motivation to diet down or to find 2 reasons to go to the gym with no show coming up. Some of them just bloat for 3 months. So in any sport, try and set goals outside of races or events. More like a targeted maybe weight you want to reach. So the race is still coming up. We're still training for it. But after that, we continue because the weight was the goal. And then when you hit that weight, we can work on sustaining the weight. But it's more a race with no end. Find something like that. Then the second point they said, and I'm reading this straight off of Grok, so I invite everyone to type it in because I'm going to bring it back to the app. But I literally said how to stay motivated. Then the next one is find your why. Now, again, if you do a why, make sure your why doesn't have an end. It's the same as the race. It comes down to the same thing. But for us at Battlefield, the why is survivability, which I believe is awesome because it never stops. Like your survivability factor just keeps going up and up and up. You can hear in the previous episodes what survivability factor is. I'll run through it quickly. It's the likelihood of surviving a situation where if it was clearly only up to you, which it never is, and we're not saying it is, but it's taking what you can control and making that shopping in those tools. So to stay motivated, if I feel like, for instance, I don't want to carry this bag of sand for a kilometer, my why would be my child. Can I carry it for 2 kilometers? Can I carry it for 3? And it never stops because it's a realistic why, in my opinion. Then the next one was mixing it up. Again, it's just different platforms. That's why I like running ultra races, short races, doing the Battlefield Games, doing Lone Operator, just mixing up different methodologies. And in Battlefield on the app, we mix it up a lot. Like this week, I had them run sprints, or last week they did sprints. This week, I have them running for 3 hours. So last week, it was quick exercises like a sprinter, and this week, it's endurance racer. So I also like mixing it up, keeping things interesting. We will get to the recovery after this question where I will put it a bit more into perspective. But then tracking your process, that's logging your workouts. Now that can be extremely tedious if you don't have an app or a way of capturing the data on it, because writing it down, it can be a very tedious thing. And that's why I said I'm going to bring it back. So with Battlefield, the app that's launching very soon, either the beginning weeks of November or in November, but we're very close to launching. You get all of this. You get your programs delivered to you. There's a why, because we list the events. You have competitors posting their scores, so you have like almost a healthy competition. There's no prizes, but you can see what I did and what Devo did and whoever did. So it's a healthy way of measuring yourself and keeping you accountable. It tracks your progress for you. And then the next question is find a community. Now with the Battlefield app, obviously you get included into the Battlefield community. The thing that's nice about that is you see other people are also having down days and off days. And it's just good to be in a community of like-minded people in the almost same, I want to say line of thinking, but I mean, you can do a running race and he can be doing a powerlifting race. But it's nice to be on track with people that's also training on a daily, consistent manner. It helps you to stay consistent. Then there's one that says reward yourself. Now, I don't believe in that thing because the proof is in the pudding. But I mean, for some people, some of my athletes, what I do is I'll tell them, okay, let's say this. You want a new pair of running shoes, but let's earn that running shoe. So if your furthest run was 2 kilometers, when you hit 3, you can buy a new pair of shoes. The reason I like that, it's a simple reason. Every morning you put those tackies on, it feels like you've earned it. If you just buy it, it almost has no purpose. It's just the new tacky, which is good. I mean, you still get the benefit of the new tacky. But if you've earned it, it almost creates the mind. Okay, now I want to go home and watch. Okay, if I hit 10. So you just keep earning it. And every time you put that on, it's almost like a feel-good moment of it's not just another technique. This was earned. So is that effective? In my opinion, for someone like me, it's not. But it might be for someone that's never had a pair of running techniques because they've never felt like they're running it. And now they're earning it with knowledge and so on. So I would do it that way. Then the next point is visualize success. For us, that's a different thing because we train for doomsday scenarios or everyday scenarios, but a car that's without fuel. So visualizing a success will be someone more of an athlete if you have an up-and-coming race. So let's say Battlefield Games, visualize where you want to place, work towards that goal. The problem I have with that, again, is if you don't hit that visualization of third place or second place or third place, you almost feel like you haven't done enough, which might not at all be the case. The other athletes might just have a year on you, so you can catch them next year. So keep that visualizing of success also relevant to yourself, and don't put a place on it or a time on it, because you can wake up with bad sleep. You can still run an amazing race and get a crazy good workout, but just not the result that you've wanted. And then you now feel like all training was useless. It's not the case. So I don't like that type of thinking, but it can work. And then managing a burnout is a big thing that I believe in. So at Battlefit, we use Zone 2 training. It's for that exact reason. I'm going to get into depth when we talk about recovery in the next question. But if you manage your burnouts and not get overtrained, you'll be mentally stronger because you wake up fresh and ready for the next session. And you can almost like create your own hoorah mental moments. But if you burn out, it is extremely hard. And take it from someone that's really disciplined, it's very hard to get back from a burnout. It can take a month or two to get the body back. Even if you're mentally the strongest person in the world, I don't care. If you hit burnout, it's very hard getting the body back. So it is something everyone must stay accountable for. And if you feel your motivation dwindling, and it's not because you're lazy or cold weather or something, check into that type of thing. And then the last one was refrain from setbacks. So if you missed a session or you didn't hit the time, it's okay. It happens. I always tell the people when we do their diets, one burger doesn't make you fat and one salad doesn't make you lean. And the same with the workouts. One run is not going to make you fit, just as missing one session is not going to make you fat or behind. It's okay. What I always try and tell people to do is create small victories within the training. So if you can't go run, let's say you've planned this big workout and boom, your child's sick, you have to go to the hospital with your child, you missed the workout. Take 15 minutes before bed and just do like 20 push-ups or 50 push-ups or whatever. It just keeps the discipline going. Because the off day, it's very hard to get back. So I always tell the guys, it's okay if you miss the session. Just try and do something so the mind stays in the habit of training. So that's the 12 points. Now I want to get it back to the app. If you look at clear, realistic goals in the app, we literally, it's amazing, this app, Rian. We started with this app, me and Dion, and he really now went into this app. He understands this thing to the fullest. While I was writing workouts, he really figured this thing out. And it is 100 times more powerful than we thought. We can literally spoon feed you the workouts with timers built in. It tracks your progress. It saves your workouts. It gives you graphs. It's absolutely insane. So everything I've just explained, and this app has been in the writing now for 3 months. So this is not like a planned thing. It just happened to be everything, the realistic goals, find your why, create routines, join a community, track your progress. It's all within that app. And I mean, at a super low price that we will announce, you'll see you get all of these benefits to keep you accountable and keep you motivated, and even hand feed you workouts. So you literally put on the app and you do that workout, and that's all you need. So that's
almost like a one-stop shop. It's
literally a one-stop shop app. And honestly speaking, we didn't know it. Like in my mind, it was an app where I would load up workouts. Someone like you would join, and you get access to the workouts. Like see it like a encyclopedia with workouts. I thought you would get a workout daily, like just a simple, almost like I deliver it now on WhatsApp. You get a notes of 100 burpees, then run, 50 burpees, then run. I thought it was like that. This is way more in depth. This thing has an inbuilt timer, so you press start and the workout starts. It's got videos to show you the exact standards of what we are looking for. So what if I say flying burpee and you're not sure what it is and you press play, there's a video about it, but it tracks your workouts. It gives feedback straight to us. It's got a calendar. It shows your graphs of if you've done a workout twice, how you've improved. So you can literally just press play and do the workout, and the app will do all of these steps for you almost. And you can just go back and enjoy the benefits of the tracking of progress, which is very tedious without an app. Because now you have to write the workouts down. You think you've done it, so you have to go back on your note. It's extremely hard to do it without an app. Where here you can just literally go and look at your previous burpee workout to see your splits. It's very powerful.
It's a lot easier. You just go to the app and you can access the history of what you've done. You can access fitness routines.
And it's everywhere in the world.
Pretty much everything. Yes.
Yeah. So December is coming up now. I mean, if you go, for instance, to the beach, I'll say, apart from the pipe and the sandbag that we use, you can do 90% of all workouts on the beach. And you'll get a hell of a good workout. You feel good. You get all of these benefits listed here, and it will be tracked. So you come back January, you can see where you were December, and you can hit it hard for the next, I don't know, winter Battlefit Games or whenever we host the next one.
Complete with sand in your underpants for effect.
Everything for the rash, the real battle experience. No, it's really powerful. It blew my mind because I was writing. So just to give people an idea, if you join Battlefit with the app now, when it launches, you get a year worth of programs. So I had to write 208 workouts, which is the year for a week, and then 3 different variants: intermediate, semi-pro, and pro. Which I can't remember how we named it now, but it's basically 3 different levels. So it was a hell of a lot of writing. Dion helped me so much by figuring out the app. He's an absolute wizard on this app now. I must admit, he's light years ahead of figuring this stuff out. But I just wrote workouts, and so in my mind, I was stuck in that. Here's the workout. That's what they get. And he on the other side figured out the back end of this app on how to deliver it and how to present it and feedback. And so while I was writing, next moment, boom, he showed us what he's done. And I mean, Dion can do a lot more than just shooting. I can tell you that. The man is not lazy. He's figured this out to a point where I don't even know the app can do this stuff. Now, I was on the YouTube studying the app, and he way surpassed that. So people are going to get a really, really high-end, I want to say app, but I mean, it's actually Dion that figured out how to deliver our product within the app. Like you can download this app on another program and it won't be as effective. And I'm not boasting into the program, actually boasting about Dion figuring this out. But with this small amount of money, let's call it 100 to 200 Rand a month. I don't know what they're going to launch at. We're still looking at a few of the costs, but low, it's going to be low. You can get a full functioning data capturing, delivering app, a one-stop for your fitness. And I promise you now, it's exactly how I've been training my athletes for the last 10 years. It's nothing more and nothing less. It's a personal do-one in your pocket, if I can call it that. But then Dion's managed to add dry fire into it. So within your workouts, there's dry firing and there's steps you have to hit, and it's so much more. So I must admit, it even caught me off guard. That was in the process from the start. So I would advise anyone to download it, especially like over the holiday seasons where you don't have access to your regular gym. Give this a chance and you'll see the results for yourself. It speaks volumes. The app is extremely powerful.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I think it's going to be pretty damn awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. And then just on that note, setting a clear goal, then the Battlefit Games, we tie it in with the app. So when you join, it'll have a banner that reminds you 28 days to go or 100 days to go, or whatever the next one. So keeping accountable. And like I say, don't make that the race, but it's nice knowing this amount of training will not only continue, but there's, I think we do 4 Battlefit Games a year, 3 or 4. So you can see when it comes, it's like little checkpoints. Have I gotten fitter? Did I place better? Must I work more on shooting? It's just awesome that the app, all within one app, shows you your next games, your placement, and you can track your progress. Yeah. So that's also helping staying motivated. It's very cool.
Well, there you go for the viewers.
Yeah.
keep an eye out for this. It's coming, and it is gonna be good.
It's good. Yeah,
Definitely.
we've been testing it now. It's actually all the workouts that's been loaded up. Dion has managed to all of them being customized and to the standard he wanted it. And the last message, I believe, I'm not going to hold him to it here, but it will be either the 1st of November, unless there's a little bit of niggles, then it will be in the first half of November. It should be launched, but we'll make a big boo. I just keep an eye out for it. Yeah.
Of course, yes. Yeah, and when that happens, we'll make a video about specifically the app.
100%.
Definitely. Get it going.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to recovery.
Yes.
Another massively important part. And also something where inexperienced people, and I also think it can be a bit of an ego thing. Instead of
100%.
recovering properly, you just carry on. So now you're carrying a little bit of hurt, but you just push through and you push through, and in the end it accumulates. So that recovery and the correct and proper way of recovering is as much a part, an important part of any workout lifestyle as the actual workouts.
Yeah, so it's actually bigger than that. Like, I always look, I'm the worst guy when it comes to this. I roll 20 hours a week, broken ribs, half broken neck, I roll. So I am the worst guy. I have all the knowledge, but when it comes to application, terrible. So do exact opposite of me, but I'll tell you what to do.
But you walk around with the pain of that all the time, though.
So 100%. I mean, go ask older people that when recovery was less studied. People at 50 have all back, not all, but a lot of back pain. And we didn't understand recovery as in-depth as we do now. But when I train my athletes, especially for big fights coming up or an event like a CrossFit competition or whatever, I always tell them, if you have a small niggle, let's say you just feel something in your hamstring. If you don't take the 2 days off, it might lead to 6 weeks off when you tear that hamstring. So by having an ego and I'm going to train, you're actually making it a lot worse for your own training, which you're so adamant about in the long run. And there was a study done that I don't have the numbers, so I'm going to make up numbers, but the study stays the same. Most big injuries had 2 or 3 niggles leading up to that injury. It's very hard to just tear a hamstring. Okay, so obviously if you're a sprinter, you have a bad out of the block. Sure, it can happen. But a lot of times a guy would feel a niggle, and by tweaking, walking funny, he creates a bigger injury on the other side. So you'll feel you have lower back pain, you walk in a certain way, next moment your shoulder sore, your other side of the back, because it's called compensating for the injury. So instead of just taking 2 days off, you now do let's call it a deadlift, but the one side sore, so you compensate and overwork the other side, and that leads to a way bigger problem. So when it comes to recovery, so I've got a list of running through, but it basically just comes to management. There's 2 types of overtraining, if I can call it that. The one is anaerobic and the one is aerobic. So the one will be endurance, that will be done through volume. So if you run for a 100-kilometer race, I run at zone 2, which is great for recovery, but now I do 4 hours a day, every day. Then the volume can lead to overtraining. Or if you look at someone like a CrossFit athlete or a wrestler or something, it can be short intervals of high intensity. And doing them every day doesn't give the body then time to recover for the next session. So people think by training slow, like I always say, zone 2 training, your recovery is good and it's better. Yes, it is, but you can still by volume overtrain. So the best way to handle these things is managing, listening to the body. If you wake up and you feel a bit under the weather, take that day off. Do accessory work. You can stretch. There's a lot you can do without doing the exact same training. That's why mixing it up is good. Get on a bike and just work the zone without the stress of running, or just manage your body. So there's also 2 ways of managing it that I just want to get into. The one is by doing a good nutritional program. So for many years, nobody understood nutrition. I think it's still a subject of ongoing, and some guys believe in only this and some in only that. And I always tell my guys, just feel what works. Stay fueled. There's something that everyone on both sides of the argument agrees on, and that's like being hydrated. having good electrolytes. So if you know you're going for a long run, make sure you have enough water, and not just water, electrolytes, salts. Make sure you stay hydrated. And if you know you have a big event coming up, like a 6-7 hour day, make sure to eat well the day before, just to stay fueled. It's like we always use the example of a race car. You can have the fastest car in the world without fuel, it's going nowhere. So we spoke about it in the previous episodes on my long runs. If you bonk, we call it bonking. It's basically when your body just bonks. There's no more carbs. It doesn't convert fat into energy. It just bonks. It's like you hit a wall, I think they talk about. But it's almost impossible to get back from a bonk. So instead of just taking the time, for instance, in a race, to stop and just make sure to stay hydrated, losing 2 minutes, the guys push through and then they bonk and they fall out the race. Now in life, it will be the same. Or in your month of training or your week of training, if you hit that burnout, it's basically over. And what I mean by basically over, it's not the end of the world. You're going to get back to it, but it's going to take 3 or 4 days to do a total reset. Where if you just listen to your body, it might have taken 1 day and you can keep going. So management. Now, guys always ask me, how would you know when you're burning out or just being lazy and stuff? And I mean, it is a hard question, especially if someone's highly motivated. I would run through a lot, and then I would only realize some runs I'll be like, oh, you were just lazy. But then some I'll be like, oh shit, that was dumb. I should have rested. So what I always tell the guys is, by not running head first into things. So if you feel a bit under, manage it, even during the workout. Don't push too hard. Take it a slower day and just see how you feel tomorrow. If you still feel the same, then you know it's training. If you feel better, you know, okay, you might have been lazy. But over time and consistency, you will learn what your body feels like when it's heading into the phases. It's almost like telling someone that never dry fires how to shoot. How do you know if you can shoot? You have to do these things. You have to be spend time in those zones, in those modes, in those feelings to get to learn it. So I always tell the guys, manage it by learning and just don't being dummy. And then there's a lot of benefits of recovery that I think everyone can know. Like if you proper recover, you can train more. Now, people think volume of training is important. It's not as important as you would think, Leon. It's more adaptation. So can I train at a high enough volume where my body can adapt to that training? So, for instance, if you take an overweight guy that never runs and you chase him with a car, he might do the 20-kilometer run, but he'll probably be smashed the next day. His body won't adapt to the training. You'll just be a wreck. So you have to find, by recovering well and giving your body all the tools it needs, you have to find the balance between volume training or aerobic and adaptation. And if you can manage those two, you will very rarely, I don't want to say that because people might, but it will be very hard to overtrain because you are adapting. It's when people push this limit without this one and they just run away from their bodies, if that makes sense. So find where
it's all about extending your longevity. It's
more about longevity.
More so if you are involved in an active sport, and probably even more so if you're involved in a sport where your body takes strain, whether it's a contact type of sport like rugby and boxing and jiu-jitsu, or whether it's just running, or whether it's just these guys who do those Olympic walks, that funny fast walk that they do. Even if your body takes strain when you do that.
Yeah. So this is where BattleFit comes in again. My whole methodology on training is the zone 2 training. And that means the heart rate stays in zone 2. So the people listening now, we have ways of determining what your zone 2 is, but a safe one to say is I never go over 140. That's like a safe one. So by doing that, the body never works too hard, right? So it's already managing overtraining because I'm training in a zone where the body is comfortable at handling the load. Now, when I talk about the load, I'm not only talking about handling the quantity or the kilometers. It's also handling the lactic acid, the buildup, the high heart rates, the spikes, the whatever bad things come from overtraining. At a low heart rate, it gives your body time to adapt to it and flush it and handle it. And it gets more efficient at it the more you do it. So that's why we do 80-20. There is 20% of my training is at a high level of heart rate, high zone, because you have to also do it. You have to build those zones. You have to do the VO2 maxes. You have to teach the small muscles to fire quickly. I'm not saying there's no room for it, but by doing the 80-20 that we do, I've been training a very long time now, say on this specific methodology for the last 6-7 years, and I haven't really had a time where I felt like I need a week holiday, like I need a break. I do my Wednesdays off and my Sundays off. And my Wednesday off, I still do stretching and other stuff, but off from training. And I've been going on like this for years. And I've got people that's been training with me for years. And just by managing that, it's almost like it's hard to reach that overtrain. When we would feel it is if I do the 100-kilometer race, a day or two after that, you have to take off. But that's again an event. It's not my training methodology. So I'll always tell the guys after Battlefit, because you push harder, it's a competition, take 2 days off. It's fine. And then get right back into it.
Yes.
And the only way you can do that is if the zones are developed. No, not just the zones, the body is adapted to the loads of work that you do. So yeah, that is Battlefit's whole thing. The more you train, the more you do Battlefit Zone 2 training, the more you can train and the more consistent you can get, because you don't need to take as many days off for niggles. That's the other thing, quickly. If you train at a high level, but your body's tired, you will start getting niggles, because you will trap skiff and you hurt your ankle, or you'll fall, or you just push when you'll start developing flu because the immune system drops down because of the overtraining. So you almost limit yourself by people that train too hard, thinking like a hoorah, 2 weeks later they have to stop training. So at Battlefit, I believe in consistency over quality, in the sense of I'd rather have my guys run 5-kilometer races than 130 and take a week.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's consistency, it gives you adaptation, and adaptation is a big thing. It is huge. Like if you run 2 races a day, let's say a normal guy runs 5 kilometers in the morning, 5 at night. Can his body absorb that 5 in the night? Is the adaptation worth the risk? And in most cases, it's not, unless you build up to it. But it's way better to just run 6 times 5 kilometers in the morning than 3 times a week, 2, and then off days. And so I believe in a consistent, you must almost feel like I can do so much more. Great. That's where I want you. So no need for off day. Just keep going.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's why the recovery. So it stays on top of your nutrition. I don't want to get into nutrition because, I mean, for the reasons of being, some guys do very well with carbs before a race. Like myself, I eat oats and I do very well. And other guys hate the heavy feeling and they feel like they have a brick in their stomach and it makes them not. So I don't want to get into nutrition in the sense of what to eat, but I can tell you nutrition is 80% of your race. So for anyone that's struggling at the moment of training because he comes back from work, make sure half an hour before you leave work, just eat something. I don't know what that is for your body need. Figure it out, but make sure to stay on top of your nutrition, because it is 90% of your workout. I don't want to say your workout, because I mean, you can run on an empty stomach and get great adaptation from it, because now the body doesn't have carbs to burn. It has to burn the fat. But then some people might feel good on it. So I don't want to get into what to eat. All I'm telling you is play around with it, research it. It's a huge part of your recovery, and it's a huge part of your daily training and your race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Duan, thank you so much. I don't know if you've got anything else to add.
No, that's it. I'm so excited. Next episode, hopefully I can have more info on the app, because it's very exciting.
On the app. Yeah, I'm excited about myself. Definitely. Yeah. So then for the viewers and the listeners, because remember, this will go on Spotify, on the Quick Shots podcast as well. And I'll be publishing it as soon as I'm done editing. I'll be publishing it also on the Battlefit Facebook page. So you can check out for it there. And then it will go on YouTube. It'll be scheduled on YouTube. So keep an eye open. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, smash that bell icon so that you can get notifications of all our new stuff coming up. And if you are interested in anything to do with Battlefit, I will be displaying their website address on top of the screen for the duration of the video. Go check it out. Follow them on Facebook as well, so that you can keep up to date, specifically with this exciting app that's coming up. And if you are interested in anything to do with the loan operator training, as always, link in the description below. Check it out. We look forward to seeing you on a range one of these days. Dwar, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Riaan. You too.